I wanted to do a Pokemon challenge in Pokemon Black and White, and water type is one of my favorite types of the Pokemon franchise. I get a lot of different Pokemon to choose from, like Oshawott, Panpour, Tympole, Ducklett, Frillish and many more. Team Water is ready to take on the challenge. Here are the rules. This will definitely be a fun ride, so let's begin. Not even a minute in and I can already choose my starter Pokemon. But is there really a choice? It has to be Oshawott, the water type. It can be very strong and will most likely be the strongest Pokemon in my team for a long time. The double rival battle at the start seems a bit fishy, but I came out on top and win both of them, leveling up to 6. Great start and let's hope it stays that way. In Accumula Town is a small speech. Ghetsis makes his first appearance, the big bad guy of Univore. After that's done, N wants to have a little battle. Purloin is a very strong Pokemon, but not at this point in the game. And after several turns, Oshawott is able to beat it easily. But it's not a real major battle yet. N can be quite dangerous later on. Before I can leave to Route 2, my mom called me and even caught up. I need Pokemon to travel through the grass? How did she come here? Anyway, I get the strongest item in the entire game already, the running shoes. Traveling is so much faster now. Before I can enter Striaton City, Bianca wants another battle, but since I only have Oshawott right now, it is quite overleveled already, and every Pokemon she has goes down in one hit, thanks to Water Gun. This will change in the future, but for now she has no chance. In the Striaton City Trainer School, I meet Sharon again and we battle. I was a bit scared of Snivy and Vine Whip, but the level difference is just too much. Beating it with Oshawott was not a big deal. And this too will change a lot later on. My Pokemon is so high leveled compared to the opponents because I only have one and all the experience points goes into this one. But there's one good thing, when Sharon is defeated he will give me Oran Berries, very strong held items and very much needed for the first gym battle. This gym is very special. There are 3 gym leaders here, Chili, Cress and Ceylon. But I get to battle only one of them depending on my starter Pokemon. Since I chose Oshawott, the water type Pokemon, my opponent is Ceylon, who has a Pansage, a grass type. I tried this battle a lot but needed multiple levels to beat it. The biggest issue for me was that even if I use focus energy, I barely get a critical hit in. But when I did, it felt really good. Lillipup can deal some damage but is never a real problem. The big problem of the battle is Pansage, but after several tries I get the critical hit I needed to win this battle. It was way harder than I expected, but Ceylon is defeated and the first real big battle is done. After the gym battle, I received the HM for cut and this makes it possible for me to enter the dreamyard, where the villainous Team Plasma is introduced. This could be the worst introduction. Seeing 2 grunts hitting and kicking the little mana here, that is very disgusting. I beat them both up and this gives me enough experience to let my Oshawott evolve into a Duwart. It's quite early to have my starter evolve, but when I get the chance, I take it. For full transparency, there is a mandatory double battle here and I cannot proceed without having a second Pokemon. Unfortunately there's no water type Pokemon to get before moving past this, so I have to use another Pokemon, but the battle would have been the same. So the Pansy I used for cut was used here too. But right after this hard double battle waits Sharon. He likes to ambush me and this is another of those battles. My Duet is strong enough to handle his team easily, but for how long? Snivy can use Growth and Vine Whip, which deals a lot of damage, but it has to crit to defeat me and this never happened. The last Pokemon is Purloin and while it's in this form, it doesn't really pose any danger. Sharon is defeated once again. In Univore are a lot of rival battles. I believe it's the game with the most rival battles. Maybe Sword and Shield are worse? I'm not sure. Apparently Team Plasma is so bad they stole a Pokemon from a little kid. That is crazy. Not even I would stoop this low, but Sharon helps in a multi-battle to beat those nasty grunts up, just to return the Pokemon and everyone is happy again. Just west of Nacrene City is the Pinwheel Forest and this is the area where I finally get my second Pokemon off the run. It's a Tympole. A lot of people call it the Mudkip at home version and I agree. before I can challenge the second gym of the run. N is here again to have a small battle, this time with 3 Pokemon instead of just 1. But again, it's quite simple. He uses a wild Pokemon from the area, in this case Pinwheel Forest, and my Pokemon are way higher level. I just had to laugh a bit when I hit myself in confusion just once, but it was the one turn where Bite was charging up and KOs my Tympole on the spot. That was great, exactly how I loved it. Anyway, N doesn't really stand a chance and moves on to let me finally enter the second gym. And the gym leader of Necrene City is Lenora. She is most likely the strongest in Unova by a mile. So I leveled up quite a lot to beat her, and on top of it I got extremely lucky. First is Herdia. While I start with Tympole, I use Growl to reduce the damage, and when Leer is used, I try to reduce the attack even further with another Growl. Being still at full HP, I think this is a good spot to switch into Do-What and try to deal damage that way. Rock Smash is the TM just west of Necrene City, and it's very useful here. Technically my strongest move. And here comes the lucky part. Herdia misses with Takedown 3 times in a row. That was crazy, and I was able to win without taking any damage again. But Lenora's ace is Watchog, and that Pokemon is crazy strong at this point in the game. I switch into Tympole, but it gets destroyed in one hit from full HP. Just like that. My last Pokemon is Ducklett, and there's nothing I can do but use Rock Smash to try for defense drops, but they never came. 2 Retaliates dealt a good amount of damage, and when being low enough, I thought it's time for a water type attack, and Hypnosis missed just to get KO'd in the following turn. Lenora is defeated, and that was very close. The Hypnosis didn't matter. Sharon was so nice to give me some Chesto berries before the gym for some help. Right after the battle, Team Plasma stole a fossil head from the museum. I think this is actually the worst team in the entire franchise. Well, the villainous teams aren't exactly very noble people, so it is to be expected. This opens up the way into the Pinwheel Forest, and sometimes the grass is moving, which can have different Pokemon, and it is possible to find Panpours. This little water monkey Pokemon is amazing. Usually at the beginning of the run there's one for free, but only for the type weak to the starter, and I need the same type. Arriving in Castelia City, there is a scientist right at the entrance who has 1 free evolution stone, and I grabbed the water stone. I won't use it for a long time, but it is in my bag whenever Panpour is ready to evolve. The next gym leader is in Castelia City, the biggest city in Unova. He specializes in bug-type Pokemon. Sounds easy, right? Well, he has a Leavanny, and that one knows Razor Leaf, which beats up my team pretty bad. I level up a lot and have a strategy in mind. He leads with Whirlipede against my Tympole. I use Bubble Beam for damage, and there's no way Whirlipede can beat me in one hit, and all I have to do is bring it at below half. That's it. Using Screech looks dangerous, but it could have just attacked me to deal better damage, so it works out fine either way. The last hit brought me into healing range, but as long as it doesn't try to KO me, it's fine. I hit it at about half and go down to a huge Poison Tail. I bring in Panpour, it uses 1 Scald, and Whirlipede is defeated. Now comes the gym leader's ace Leavanny, and this is tricky. I always get hit first, but Eviolite allows me to tank 1 and then Scald for some damage, but most importantly, the burn. This is very important, even though Panpour goes down. My last Pokemon is Do-What, and I have Retaliate, getting double damage when one of my Pokemon got KO'd the turn before, but Protect ignores it, and this battle gets a lot harder. I can tank some hits, but Razor Shell is my best move, which is resisted. The chance to lower defense is very important, and when Do-What's HP fell down very low, I saw that I got the chance. Hitting with my ability boosted Razor Shell for the KO. I was very happy about it. Last is Drabble, but it is part rock and doesn't have sturdy, so 1 hit and it is defeated. Burgh is out of Pokemon. This gym battle was very intense, and I can finally move on. This has to be the hardest gym, right? Before I can move on to the next city, Bianca wants to battle once again. Her team is quite weak, especially on the level, so it's mainly just pushing damage and hope for the win. The only Pokemon who could pose a problem is Pansage, but the level difference was a bit too much and it goes down easily. The other Pokemon are just very bad against my team from the type alone. So in the end, Bianca is defeated and I can check out Route 4. But just a few steps in and Sharon is here as well. This game has way too many rival battles, it's crazy. His team is actually way stronger than Bianca's team. He starts with Pit Off against my Tympole. There isn't much to say, I just use Bubble Beam until the little bird goes down, but it takes some turns and time because of the sandstorm which is active right now. Next is Servine, the grass type Pokemon, which can be quite devastating, but it was so nice to use Leech Seed and I was able to hit with one Mudshot to lower the speed. That is actually very good for me because my whole team is now faster than Servine. Just 1 or 2 hits in before going down. Removing the berry was really nice. Ducklett comes out and Retaliate was amazing. It nearly KO'd, but Leaf Storm nearly destroyed me as well. That was crazy. Against Panpour, I get off a Rock Smash with Defense Drop, but that's the end of the road for Ducklett. My last Pokemon is my own Panpour, and I can just relax now, using Bite twice to win the battle against a small water monkey. But Sharon has one last Pokemon, Liepard. It was just one use of Sand Attack, but I missed twice in a row, which might make this battle quite hard to win. But Scald finally hits and burns, which turns the battle around again in my favor, and Liepard just loses the turn afterwards. Sharon is defeated and the battle against him becomes more and more dangerous. I hope it gets a bit easier in the future. In Relic Castle, in the middle of a desert, is a nice hiker who has too many fossils and would like to give me one. I take the cover fossil and travel back to the Green City. In the museum is a nice employee who is able to revive fossil Pokemon, free of charge. And I receive tirtouga, the water and rock type Pokemon, who will be a great asset to my team. Arriving in Nimbasa City, receiving the bike, witnessing the argument between Bianca and her dad was quite stressful, so I hang out with my new friend N at the amusement park. He talked about being the king of Team Plasma, which is wild, but that's enough babbling. Team Plasma is watching and we have to battle once again. N starts with Sandile against my Tympole. Very strong matchup for me because Sandile is weak to water. Next is Darumaka. I was very confused by this choice since it's weak to water again, but the facade hit was really crazy, but I come out on top regardless. Against Scraggy, however, I thought I switched into tirtouga, but right after pressing on switch, I realized Scraggy is part fighting and has Brick Break ready to go. My water turtle just hits once into it with Aqua Jet and then switches out into Ducklett. That looks a bit more manageable. First Razor Shell and then Water Pulse for an easy victory here. Last is Sigilyph, and maybe that's just me, but I never really liked this Pokemon. It looks so out of place somehow, but today I think the Pokemon is very strong and actually beats my Ducklett. Bringing in Panpour, the Eviolite will help getting way fewer damage in, and for some reason I use Scald, but Bite would have been super effective. But it's fine, it happens. Just need more damage and Sigilyph will go down, defeating the last of N's Pokemon. With that battle done, Tympole evolves into Palpitoad, which is a huge upgrade considering the next gym leader. That will be a lot of fun. Because the Nimbasa gym leader is called Elesa, and she specializes on electric type Pokemon, which are usually very good against water types, but I have a Palpitoad now, which can tank several hits easily, especially with Eviolite equipped. She starts with Emolga against my tirtouga, and I was very happy to see that it is able to tank one Volt Switch head on, and the next Emolga gets an Ancient Power right on its face. But that's the end of tirtouga, one final Aqua Jet, but I got a critical hit to KO Emolga. That was great. The first Emolga back in and just Aqua Jet for some damage, and this time it's really it for my Pokemon. Zap Striker, Elesa's ace, against my Palpitoad now. The opposing Pokemon can only really use Quick Attack, while I can just use Aqua Ring to heal HP every turn and then use Mudshot to slowly but surely KO the electric type Pokemon. The damage isn't perfect to KO, so I switch it up after one Hyper Push to bring it into range for an easy knockout, and after some more turns Elesa's ace is out of HP. The last Pokemon is the first Emolga, and we both don't have a good move to use against each other, but Bubble Beam seems to be the perfect damage amount to bring it into KO range while still outside of the possibility to heal. That's it, Emolga, you go down. Elesa is defeated, she has no more Pokemon to battle with, and I was very happy to beat one bad gym after another without leveling up too much. The next Sharon battle is directly after the gym. That is so fast I wasn't even able to gain any experience points in between. And this battle took a long while for me to figure out. First is a lie part against my Palpitoad. This is a bit awkward, my goal was to knock it out of course, but also not use Mudshot as the last move because of Torment. And I might need it against the next one. So I use first Mudshot to lower speed, then Bubble Beam and return to KO. Next is the headache of this run so far, Servine. For some reason I was faster and that was very unexpected, but I was able to hit with Mudshot to lower speed and let my team outspeed it. I bring in Panpour now to use Scald. It really has to burn for me to have a chance at winning, which is quite sad to be honest. But when I did, I could use Rock Smash to lower defense as well, but it was not the case here. I bring in tirtouga next, which seems weird, but it has Sturdy to survive any hit Servine could do, but leaves Tornado hits, lowers accuracy, and I miss in the same turn. That was crazy unlucky. But one Aqua Jet and I go down. My last Pokemon is Ducklett and I misclick on Razor Shell instead of Retaliate. But Leaf Tornado missed, so I get another chance to KO. So it's even now, but I still have to beat 2 Pokemon. Sharon's Panpour has the same strategy, using Scald to burn, which will be very annoying. I hit with a Dig to lower HP and then Water Pulse to 2-hit it, but the burn activated, removing half of my physical attack and puts me on the timer. Sharon's last Pokemon is Tranquil, and it has Detect, Roost and Quick Attack. It could easily beat me in this position, but it chose to not use Detect when it had to, or Quick Attack to finish me off. So instead it went down in the last turn I had available. Sharon is defeated and I am very happy about it. He is by far the hardest opponent to deal with. But this opens up the next city, and that city will bring in a lot of changes to my team. On the driftveil bridge, which connects Route 5 with Driftveil City, are dark spots on the ground, which can show some wild Pokemon, and it is Ducklett, a flying water type. This can be a huge asset to my team, considering I have big issues with grass type Pokemon. Arriving in Driftveil City, I can trade a Minccino for a Basculin. I actually don't know how to use this Pokemon properly, but I believe I can make it work to be devastating to the opposing team. Going through the cold storage and beating up Team Plasma once more is made available. That is usually the part where I need to level up some more or get new stuff for my strategy, but this time it's a bit different. The gym leader of Driftveil City is Clay, the ground type specialist, which is a very good type to see for Team Water. Usually I try to use the new teammates first, but this was just too fun to not use. First Crocorock against my first partner Pokemon Ducklett. It is slower and Swagger was used, increasing my attack a lot, but Confuse as well. Fortunately, Tympoles have a high chance holding a Person Berry, so I got one to remove it and immediately KO the ground dark type with Razor Shell. Next is Clay's Ace Excadrill, and Razor Shell is super effective but does not KO, bringing in a Hyper Potion to the table, which is fine. Scald is here to set up the range, but I also got the burn off perfectly timed, because technically Razor Shell does not always hit. Another Scald and Excadrill is defeated. Last Pokemon is Palpitoad, and Razor Shell is neutral but nearly KOs, and on top drops defense in case Clay wants to use another Hyper Potion. One more hit and the team is defeated. Clay can be very strong against several teams, but Team Water was not one of them. Before leaving the city, Bianca wants one more battle. That is quite interesting since it's raining, and rain is very good for my team. Anyway, she starts with Herdia against my Ducklett. Seeing Workout can be quite dangerous, but Scald hits for a huge amount and burns. The best case scenario. What I didn't realize is she has Hyper Potions, and this doesn't allow me to use Aqua Ring, but it's okay for me. But when Bianca runs out of potions to use, Herdia hits with Takedown, dealing nearly half while being burned. That's crazy. Next is Pignite, and it is weak to water, but I have to take one takedown to the chin and hit back for the KO. Scald is just great. Pensage looks good on paper, but I have Air Slash now, and that hits and let the grass type flinch, just for Ducklett to deliver the finishing blow. Very lucky. Last is Mushana, and it's basically over. One Scald for big damage and the burn before going down. I use Basculin next and can use any move it has to get the KO, and I chose Aqua Jet. Bianca is again defeated, and she takes it very hard, losing all the time, but maybe next time you get me. I wanted to enter Chargestone Cave, but cannot, thanks to the Electro Web. Clay is here to help removing the web and giving me the TM for Bulldoze. I actually really like that move. It's a small earthquake, which lowers speed. Inside the cave, I meet up with Bianca and Professor Juniper again. This time she has a very nice item for me, the Lucky Egg. That boosts experience points gained. Should help a lot if I need more levels. And I think it's finally time to evolve Panpour into Simipour. I just wanted one specific move called Fling before evolving, and here it is. Not sure if I'm able to use it, but let's see. Before leaving the Charged Stone Cave, I have to battle N once again, the third rival. There cannot ever be enough of those. N starts with Boulder against my Ducklett. I use Scald and it actually burns again, but it's not enough. Iron Defense won't help the rock type, but one more hit knocks it out. Now comes Joltek, and I actually forgot it can use electric type attacks, which is double super effective against my Ducklett. I bring in Palpitoad now, and while I don't have a super effective move, I can just use some to KO, it's not a big deal. Next is Ferroseed, but I'm not sure if it can even deal good damage because it doesn't have a grass type attack. So Aqua Ring to basically negate the damage and then spamming Scald while hoping it burns to push even more damage. After some turns, Ferroseed will lose, while Palpitoad is at full HP, very good job. Last Clink, but I have Bulldoze, which is super effective, that is not even a challenge. N is defeated, and I believe this was the last battle against him until the special battle at the end. So let's say farewell for now, the next battle might be brutal. Before I can face the next gym leader, I have to climb to the top of the Celestial Tower. Here are very strong items, which I hopefully all picked up. After talking to Skyla here, she returns to the city and I can finally challenge her. Back at the gym, Skyla, the gym leader of Mistralton City and flying type specialist, has to face Team Water, and we can see which team is the strongest. She starts with Swoobit against my Simipour. Amnesia sounds strong against water types, but Shadowclaw, a TM from Celestial Tower, is here to ruin Skyla's day. Thanks to the spell tag, it does enough damage to push Swoobit just into healing range, and I use this to remove all hyper potions. I was first surprised to deal this much damage, but I take it. The flinch at the end was really annoying at first, but I think it is quite fair considering how much damage Simipour already did. Next is Unpheasant, and Razor Wind sounds horrible. A quite weak move which needs 2 turns. I should have picked up Protect already and this would never be an issue, but I take a lot of damage just for Unpheasant to go down to Scald. Skyla's ace is Swanna, and that can be very dangerous. My Simipour didn't stand a chance, but maybe Palpitoad can do something here. Scald hits and burns, which is just amazing. This will basically disable the healing from Aqua Ring, but some hits in and Palpitoad goes down as well. I bring in Tirtouga because of engine power and it hits to KO Swanna in the end. Skyla is out of Pokemon and Team Water triumphed over Team Flying easily. Also giving me another badge, only 2 more to go. Before I can explore Twist Mountain, there's one more Sharon battle to do. And as usual, he was brutal. This is a real rival battle. Sharon starts with Unpheasant against my Tirtouga. The battle takes a lot of turns thanks to Detect, but Ancient Power is able to deal a lot of damage. When the flying type was low in HP, I am able to knock it out with Aqua Jet. The first one is down. Sharon's Ace Servine enters the battle and all I can do is one Aqua Jet for a little bit of damage before Leaf Blade brings Tirtouga back to the Pokemon Center. Simipour has to make something happen, but Leaf Blade again and my water type lands on 2 HP remaining. And while Scald dealt way too much damage, it didn't burn, which is actually very huge. Burn is usually the main goal. Maybe Duet is able to hit, but Leaf Blade again, and this time it's enough to knock my first partner Pokemon out. That was brutal. The HP should be low enough for Ducklett to handle. Leaf Blade did a lot again, but Ducklett took to the sky and after another turn it came down, beating Servine very easily. I wonder if I should have used it earlier, but it's too late now. Next is Liepard, and a combo of Fake Out and Assurance defeats my Pokemon, but the job was well done. Palpitoad is still on the team and this battle will take a while, since the damage is not quite here on neither side. Bulldoze is great to lower the speed and Scald can potentially burn, but it's not necessary. Torment forces me to choose different moves at each turn and I just use random moves until I can finally knock Liepard out. Sharon's last Pokemon is Simipour, and even though Palpitoad is faster, I can use Bulldoze to make sure it stays faster, but the opposing Scald was too much and KOs Palpitoad thanks to the rain. My last Pokemon has to handle it. Basculin is here and Takedown did a good amount, but of course Scald hits and burns, that is horrible. But Lady Luck was on my side and one crunch and a critical hit just to defeat Sharon in the end. The battle was so close, it's crazy. But the champion Aldar watched it and has a very nice gift for us, the HM for Surf. It doesn't look like much, but this opens up a lot of possibilities. Most importantly, back at Road 4 I can surf around to find a wild Frillish. I actually used it a lot back in the day and I hope it will shine again. A little bit more rare is the Pokemon Alomomola, which I don't remember ever using. It is essentially the water type version of Chansey, and let's see how it turns out. After venturing through Twist Mountain, I arrive in Icarus City, and this Pokemon has most likely the most important TMs in the entire game. I can buy Blizzard, Thunder and Firestorm here. That is amazing. While doing the gym puzzle of Icarus City, Tirtouga evolves into Caracosta. This is one of the upgrades which turn my team from okay to very strong very fast. The gym leader Brycen is here, ready to battle for the badge. He specializes in Ice-type Pokemon and let's see how it turns out. Starting the battle with Vanillish against my Caracosta. Mirror Shot hits and lowers accuracy immediately. It's really bad, but hitting with Ancient Power was amazing, the damage was great. Another turn of the same stuff and Vanillish goes down. Brycen's ace Burgh is here and I try to go for Bulldoze first to remove some speed and then Ancient Power for a lot of damage. But Burgh was just here to deal damage with Brycen and then another to KO Caracosta. Next to use is Ducklett and I got the Person Berry from the Pinwheel forest to negate Swagger, but take the boosts. This battle was actually way tougher because I had to use Revenge whenever I feel like Burgh was up to attack me and something else whenever a Hyper Potion was about to be used. But after all this juggling around I was able to hit Revenge twice and Burgh goes down. Last Pokemon is Cryogonal and I assume Ducklett to go down, so Aqua Jet it is, but all the boosts combined made a huge hit into the Ice type before my Pokemon goes down. I bring in Simipour now and use Scald for damage, and even though it didn't knock it out, I got off a burn again, which was actually the damage I missed in the end. Brycen is defeated and I get another badge for my collection. Only one to go, so let's move right over there. At the top of the Celestial Tower is N, and he got his legendary Pokemon Zekrom, an electric type. That final battle will be wild. I assume I get destroyed very bad, but before that I still have a lot of things to do. At level 36, Palpitoad can finally evolve into Seismitoad, the worst Swampert of Generation 5. But it will be a huge asset for the battles to come, thanks to its typing alone. In search of the final Dragon Ball, I traveled to the deepest level of Relic Castle, but it wasn't here, even though all my friends are here as well. Maybe it's in another castle. Arriving at the museum in Nakreen City, it seems they finally found it, and for some reason gave it to me, even though I cannot use it. The Pokemon inside is not a water type Pokemon, so let's just ignore it and move on to the final gym of the run. After battling some trainers, Ducklett reached level 36 and can now finally evolve into its final form, Samurott. I hope it can shine against the battles to come. Before I can leave to face the final gym of the run, Bianca stops me once again to battle one last time. It is quite unfortunate that her role is to give the player a confidence boost, but I won't hold back at all. First Pokemon to beat is Stoutland, and I start with Samurott. Retaliate deals quite a lot of damage, but Surface Rain Up deals a crazy amount as well. After 2 hits are exchanged, Stoutland goes down. Next is Simisage and it is faster, hitting with Seed Bomb to KO Samurott. And I bring in Ducklett next. It can survive one hit and use Feather Dance to reduce the attack harshly, but before I can get any damage in, Ducklett goes down as well. My Simipour is here and has to manage it. Seed Bomb does below half, which is a very good sign. Acrobatics nearly KO, and that means I can easily burn through all the full restores now. This is one thing I really like to do. But when Bianca is out of it, Simisage's Seed Bomb hits and knocks Simipour out, which I didn't expect. Now Basculin is here for revenge. One Aqua Jet to remove the last remaining HP. Bianca's ace Emboar enters the arena, but one Aqua Tail hits and KOs it, most likely thanks to the rain as well. Last Pokemon is Musharna, and I think Aqua Tail deals the most damage at the moment, but it barely hangs on. Lucky Chan doesn't do anything right now, and one more hit to KO the Psychic type. Bianca is out of Pokemon, and this is the last time we battle. She accepts to not be good enough as a trainer and returns home. Poor Bianca. While beating up the trainer around, Ducklett reaches level 35 and can evolve into its final form Swanna. I'm not sure how much I can use it, but it's basically a Gyarados, just with different stats. A lot different. In black and white are two different gym leaders, Iris and Drayden. Since this is a Pokemon Black challenge, Drayden is my last gym leader and he specializes in dragon type Pokemon. Usually a very strong contender for best typing in the game, but let's see what Team Water has in store for him. First is Fracture against my Simipour. As shown earlier, I am able to get Blizzard and that is the best move by far, but I missed not once but twice against Double Dragon Dance. Usually this means defeat, but it used Dragon Tail, which has a lower priority, and it goes down. Next is Radigon and one more Blizzard hits and KOs. I have never melt ice, so probably thanks to that item. Last is Drayden's Hexeros, and all that's left to do is hit with my last Blizzard and hope it's enough to KO, which it is. Drayden has no Pokemon left to use and is defeated. The last batch of Unova is in my pocket and I can move on to battle the Elite Four. On Route 10, and I cannot believe it's only Route 10 yet, is Sharon. This is the final rival battle of the run and can be one of the most dangerous ones, if not for this little trick. It's Blizzard. Blizzard is a trick. Nothing special. Sharon starts with Unfasten against my Samurott. Charging the Razor Wind could be dangerous, but I hit with Blizzard but doesn't KO. This is the one battle where I miss Aqua Jet, but I hope it still works out fine. The damage was crazy, but the first Pokemon is defeated. Next is Superior, Sharon's first partner Pokemon, and it does KO mine in one hit easily. I bring in Caracosta next. The idea is to use Bulldoze to lower speed. I survive a hit thanks to the sturdy ability but go down right afterwards. My Swanna comes next to deal a lot of damage with Fly, and when my bird finally comes crashing down, Superior takes the hit and goes down as well. Bringing in Liepard, Sharon believes this Pokemon can handle it, but Scald hits and burns, so lucky once again. Another hit and Liepard will go down, but not before Swanna goes into the danger zone. Last is Simipour, and it is faster to hit with Scald and KO my Pokemon. I go for a mirror match with my own Simipour, but I'm slower and it seems the damage is just a little bit in my favor, even though Burn pushes me into the KO, but I burn with Scald as well, and that means Basculin can come in and use one final Aqua Jet to finish Sharon's last Pokemon off. This was the final rival battle against Sharon. I may miss him already, but we will see each other again, sometimes, somewhere in another run. In preparation for the last battle gauntlet of the run, I let Frillish evolve into Jellicent. I haven't used it in this run yet, but let's see what this ghost and water type Pokemon can do. I didn't really know how hard the Elite Four will be, so I decided to level everyone up to 45 and bring in the two water Pokemon I have not used before. The Elite Four might be easy to defeat, but the champion will be crazy hard. Let's see how far I can go. The Elite Four is very different to the Elite Fours of other games. I can decide on who to challenge first. That brings some issues because they all are on a similar power level instead of getting progressively stronger. I choose the ghost type trainer Chantal as the first opponent because I think my team should be amazing against hers, but let's find out. She leads with Cofagrigus against my Swanna. I'm not sure what to expect and just use Scald for some damage, but it's pretty clear Swanna will unfortunately not make it, and after the ghost type is in the healing range, my Pokemon goes down. I bring in Jellicent now to use Shadow Ball, and the damage was really good. Just another one and Cofagrigus is defeated. Chantal brings in her own Jellicent next, and this makes it a quite interesting battle. I have a spell tag attached, that's why my Pokemon does not only deal more damage, but while the opposing one does below half, I deal over half, making me the favorite in this particular battle. Being slower was not great, to be honest. Next is Chandelure, and I have no chance and go down before making any move. I use Caracosta next, and in hindsight I tried the worst moves possible. First engine power, but without a boost it won't help much, and then Aqua Jet to deal as much as possible before going down. I use my first partner Pokemon Samurott now and have to tank a huge Shadow Ball, which it did, and then KO with Surf. Shell Bell was equipped, and that is actually bad now, because the last Pokemon is Golurk, and thanks to the heal I am out of reach of Samurott's ability, and Surf just barely didn't KO, letting my Samurott go back to the Pokemon Center. I have Seismitoad next, and while Full Restore refills the HP, Scald hits critical to KO the last Pokemon. Tympole is defeated and it was way harder than I expected. Losing 4 Pokemon here was harsh. Similar to the last Elite Four member, I think Caitlyn, the Psychic type specialist, might be the next best opponent to battle. Her team is led by Reuniclus, while I go with Caracosta. The strategy is simple, just using Shell Smash to boost all my offensive stats, but losing all my defense. Going to 1 is perfect thanks to Sturdy, and then one-hit KO the Reuniclus with a super effective Crunch. Next is Gothitelle, and I used Crunch to KO, but it didn't. Even with Black Glasses equipped, it's not enough. That's fine, Jellicent comes in and I use Shadow Ball in a full restore turn. Getting hit by Thunderbolt is not what I want, but another Shadow Ball and Gothitelle is defeated. Musharna is next and my Shadow Ball deals over half, while Caitlyn's doesn't deal enough to KO. That's actually perfect, so another one and the Mono Psychic type is knocked out. Last Pokemon is Zigglyph, and it's the end of the road for Jellicent. Any move would KO and Air Slash was probably the worst one to choose. I bring in Swanna next and hope to defeat it with Scald, but it's less than half, and even though it burned nearly every time I use it, this battle it does not even after 2 tries. Before Swanna goes down as well. I think this is the time Samurott can come in and just win, while Full Restore heals it back up and Surf does over half. Tanking any damage is not a big deal, it's bulky enough and one more Surf to KO. Caitlyn is defeated and I think Jellicent is pretty good so far. The next Elite Four member I want to battle is Marshall, and this is the battle where alomomola will truly shine. But at the same time, it's quite a tedious form of battle, because that water type Pokemon has nearly no good offensive stat. The best is attack, but it does have an insane amount of HP and some good physical defense, and I want to use it to the fullest. Marshall leads his team with Throw, while I go with alomomola. The strategy is really simple. I use Toxic, then Protect and sprinkle in some Wish. Wish heals me up for 50% of my HP, but it is delayed a turn, so Protect helps to get the heal going. When Throw is right before the healing range, or would go into it with toxic damage, I use Return to push it out, and the first one is down. Next is Sork and the same strategy. There's no real difference to me for both of those Pokemon because they don't have a good move against me anyway. After several hits, several Protects and some Wishes, a nice Return brings Sork into range and it goes down. Now comes Conkeldurr, and same strategy again, but this time Rocky Helmet will help a lot. It deals damage every time a move makes contact, and Conkeldurr loves to make contact. In the end, it's quite unfortunate for alomomola because I had to make the decision to push the last damage points with Return, but that means my Pokemon goes down as well. But it was worth it. Last Pokemon is Mienshao and I use Caracosta. I only realized that bringing in it is weak to fighting, so I switched into Jellicent and the move used was Jump Kick, which failed and deals half of Mienshao's HP as damage in return. I also think I should just switch around until it defeats itself, but went for the traditional route to KO with attacking moves. But the damage was quite a bit worse than I expected and it gets pushed into healing range. But it's okay, I just continue with using Scald until it burns to KO, which is after 2 more hits. That move is easily the best water type attack, at least on the special attacking side. It's really amazing to use. Mienshao is knocked out, which means a Marshall is out of Pokemon. There's only one more Elite Four member left to defeat. The last opponent in this battle gauntlet is Grimsley. He specializes into dark types, which is a nice type to specialize into. Since alomomola worked out so great, I want to use it again and see how far I can go. Scrafty is chosen first and I immediately go for Toxic, but Sand Attack can be quite annoying later on. And as usual, I go for the Protect and Wish, but thanks to Rocky Helmet, Scrafty is most likely already in range for a KO and I went for Return, which does hit, and Rocky Helmet combined with Toxic knocks a dark fighting type out. Next is Crocodile, one of the best names for sure, and I go with Toxic again, but realize Earthquake is the attack of choice. So I went for one Protect and then switch out into Swanna to negate an Earthquake first to deal damage with Scald, but Foul Play did a huge amount which I didn't expect at all. In the end, Scald with Toxic did get the job done and Crocodile goes down. Now comes Liepard, but it's well known thanks to Sharon and it does not have an issue to KO Swanna from that point on. I use Caracosta now and went for Ancient Power, which does deal less than half, so I use one Aqua Jet to bring it into range, but Attract effect was used, which could pose a problem. Caracosta just didn't care and uses another ancient power to KO. Lars is bishop and it is double weak to fighting, leaving me no choice but to let Caracosta go, which took 2 turns, a lot longer than I expected. Seismitoad in, any move bishop can use it doesn't work, even though a critical hit would have knocked it out, but Drain Punch hits and easily defeats bishop while restoring a lot of HP back. Grimsley, the last Elite Four member, is defeated, and all that's left to do is the champion, which could be a very interesting battle. The champion Alda loses his title right in the moment I entered the room, which is a very nice coincidence. The third rival of the game has the new title of champion, so all that's left to do is beat him. But Team Plasma had a very interesting idea to disturb the final battle, letting N get away. But that's obviously only a minor setback and I follow right behind. Before I can face the final battle against N, the light bulb in my pocket shines and summons a legendary Pokemon Reshiram. Do they actually believe I need help here? I don't think so. As far as I know, I need to catch it to proceed and I just throw a Master Ball to be done with it. Of course, I will not add Reshiram to the party, it is now an HM worker for me, because I want to battle the final challenge of the Pokemon Black and White run. N leads with Zekrom against my Seismitoad. I want to use Bulldoze, it's super effective and lower speed. Light Screen looks bad but doesn't matter much, since Bulldoze is physical. Zekrom didn't like that and used Giga Impact, but my Pokemon still stands and knocks the legendary out without any help. Next is Kling Klang and I switch into Jellicent, negating Hyper Beam, but stay in to use Will-O-Wisp, and Thunderbolt hits for a large amount of damage before I can hit. Now switching out into Seismitoad again to negate Thunderbolt. This will happen a lot now. Switching around to negate Hyper Beam and Thunderbolt, depending which Pokemon stayed in. N, you became champion. What is going on? After a while, it's too much and I switch into Caracosta now, wanting to tank Hyper Beam, but it missed, which makes it a bit easier for me. Or so I thought. Shell Smash to increase everything, but Aqua Jet didn't even KO, so both Pokemon go down at the same time. Using Alomomola next, the champion uses his Caracosta now, but I get the free pass using Toxic while Stone Edge missed once again. Those moves are so unreliable. I wanted to check on how to proceed, but realized that Stone Edge is not very effective against Seismitoad, and I hope Wish setup and switching into Seismitoad works out. And it did, with 2 HP remaining, way too close. Wish restores a lot of HP, but I made a mistake and used Drain Punch instead of Grass Knot, but it worked out perfectly, defeating Caracosta anyway. Next is Vanillux and I want a Bulldoze hit to reduce the speed for the rest of the battle while Hail is set up. Drain Punch deals very good damage and Blizzard did easily over 3/4, but one more Drain Punch and the Ice Cone Pokemon is defeated. The champion Zoroark comes in and I think it's the end of the road for Seismitoad, letting it go now. That makes room for Alomomola again and Focus Blast missed. And is so unlucky in this run, it's crazy. Setting up Toxic and alternating Wish and Protect again. I'm sorry, but I want to win and this is one of the strategies. But Focus Blast nearly took me out anyway. Not much to do in the end, I press on return while I survive on 5 HP to bring in the finishing blow. Last Pokemon of the battle is Archeops, and it missed with Stone Edge again? What is this? But let's be honest for a second, this Rock-type Pokemon never stood a chance against Team Water in the first place. Alomomola surviving this long is just amazing, but not needed. When it goes down, I bring in Samurott and one clean surf hits and KOs Archeops. N is out of Pokemon, the champion is defeated and Team Water is the new champion of Unova. Or is it? There's one final battle to do and that is against Ghetsis, the leader of Team Plasma. I cannot change my team between the battles and on top, his team is really good, like super strong. Way stronger than the champions. But there goes nothing and this is the last obstacle, the last battle of the run. Ghetsis, let's see if I can defend my title of champion right here, right now. Since I wasn't able to change my team, I go with Seismitoad against his Cofagrigus. But I switch out immediately into Swanna. The idea is to deal some damage, just a tiny bit is okay. Hitting several times counts too. I'm fine with that actually. Swanna still goes down, I bring in Jellicent now and while Ghetsis uses a full restore, I get to hit with Shadow Ball. A critical hit knocks it out immediately, but I was faster anyway, so it didn't matter. Next is Basculin, a Pokemon so strong it could hit through my alomomola easily. The idea is to switch into Seismitoad first to negate a wild charge and then into alomomola to take the head charge while having Rocky Helmet equipped. Then switch around once more. This leads to alomomola getting knocked out, but Basculin's HP is so low, one Drain Punch of Seismitoad defeats it as well. This was all nice, but Ghetsis ace Hydreigon enters the arena and this makes the battle a lot harder. I first switch out into Caracosta. It can survive any hit thanks to Sturdy, but wasn't necessary now. Afterwards I switch into Jellicent. This seems a bit odd, but as long as Hydreigon does not use Dragon Pulse, it's fine. This might be the most controversial fight in the whole Pokemon Black challenge so far. I use Will-O-Wisp, and then Store will recover as long as possible. This is very important to bring it as low as possible. I could get the KO in another way maybe, but that would mean I will not have the tools necessary to defeat the remaining Pokemon. Also, just one critical hit would end this performance immediately, but in the end I did get the win over Hydreigon. Next is Electros, and I switch into Seismitoad. This is very risky because I want Seismitoad for another Pokemon later on. I needed to not get defeated, and if Scald burns, which of course happens immediately, I'm not allowed to get burned by the opposing flamethrower, and unfortunately it did get burned in the last possible second. Electros goes down in the end regardless. No comes Ghetsis, Seismitoad, and I may need my own still, switching into Caracosta, getting immediately KO'd. It's okay, it did fine the whole run. My first partner Pokemon Samurott comes to the battle and this makes it quite interesting. Grass Knot deals a lot of damage, being double super effective. Earthquake brings my AP very low, but another one and Seismitoad is defeated as well. Last Pokemon of the run to defeat is Bishop, and I totally overestimated its damage. Rain is up, HP is low, and Surf deals a great amount. Night Sledge was used, but Samurott still survived thanks to the Shell Bell, and I can now go on to knock Bishop out, removing the last Pokemon of Ghetsis' team. He is defeated. Team Water beat Pokemon Black. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I see you in the next one.